Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title of this video today, we're doing a get ready with me. We're gonna do like my hair care routine. So what I wanna do is I put on Twitter that I was trying to have a filming weekend this weekend and I wanted to do whatever you guys threw out as suggestions. And then Christy responded with I should do a chit chat get ready with me and gave me a whole bunch of topics to talk about. This is just the Laneige lip sleeping mask that I use during the day. And I was like, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll do my hair in one video and talk about some of the topics. And then in next week's video, I'll go do my makeup and we'll continue on and do a two-part get ready with me because I don't want this video to be 100 years long. So one of the questions she wanted to talk to me about, I'm gonna use my PYT flat iron. And first off, I'm just gonna straighten all the little baby hairs. I washed my hair last night in case you're wondering. But one of the first topics she suggested I talk about were my thoughts on COVID and if I think it's going to be around forever. So I think that's what I'm going to make this video predominantly about, and then we'll move into the other topics in the next video. Sure. My thoughts on COVID is, I think in some way it is going to shape how the human race lives its life forever. It's proof that social distancing works. It's proof that when you wear a mask, the influenza rates go down. There's so many like things that are so different in a good way. I mean, one of the things that has been proven to me is you don't need to go out to like randomly bum around the mall every Saturday for something to do. You can find other things that are fulfilling. I honestly, like, for me personally, I've loved living in this COVID world. And I know I'm in a rare minority, but what do you do? People think I'm crazy. I love the work from home life. I didn't have a transition. I don't mind being in the office either, but for me, I'm very adaptable and I like technology. So for me, it was super duper easy to do both. I love that our office is closed to the public. So when we are in the office, it makes for better work days. I've come to learn in this pandemic that I'm not a social person. I'm really not. Like, my friend circle is really small and I don't like going out a lot. I wasn't a big going out person to begin with, but like these watching concerts online and not having to go out in big crowds of people with drunk people and stuff, all of that stuff makes me really happy. So when we have to go back to like real life and people are vaccinated and we're allowed to go back out and not have restrictions, like I'm gonna be sad. Like I love having next to no social interaction, but I've also come to realize that I am really good at being alone and being a homebody, and I love that. And I also think people should learn some lessons from COVID. COVID has taught me that it's okay to not want to go out. There is no shame in not wanting to be going to parties and going out drinking, and it's okay to say no to people because you would rather stay home and watch 8 seasons of a TV show on Disney Plus or build Lego. I'm happier. That's one thing that COVID has definitely taught me. Another thing that COVID has really kind of helped me understand more is being more compassionate. And I think people don't understand. We're all so quick to judge, and I think people need to like loosen up a little bit. It really bothers me because we all make judgments quickly about people no matter what it is. But people judge me because they think I'm just this antisocial person, and it's like, I'm sorry, but I'd rather not watch you get drunk and do jello shots off a coffee table and complain about your job. You know, like, that's a you problem. So I'm just gonna decline instead of putting myself through it. And I think people need to be more accepting of that. And just like people need to be accepting of the fact that people are going to choose to get vaccinated and people are going to choose not to get vaccinated. And that's fine. You know, like, it is what it is. I don't know what that means for everybody, and I don't know. It's weird. COVID has done some weird things to the world. It's also really showed the ugly side of the human race in a lot of ways, which is really sad. And I mean, it's also shown the beautiful side of it too. Like, I learned very quickly who my true friends were in this pandemic, and they're the same 6 or 5, well, there's 6 of them I only have like 6, 7 real friends, and it was very obvious very quickly, you know? Like the YouTube girls, we had this group chat, and like I ran out of cleanser. Kayla was like, I'll just throw some in your mailbox, it's all good. Like we haven't seen each other now like properly as a full group of the 6 of us. Like Kayla, Nicole, Liz, Shauna, Sarah, and I. In over a year. It was our last Christmas party. And then we had a little get together at Nicole's house. We had a Sephora party is what it was, at Nicole's. And that night, Newfoundland had gotten its first case of COVID, and it was in Labrador. I'll never forget it, because we were having crock-pot lasagna, doing a Sephora themed makeup swap party at Nicole's, and Brittany was there, so it was 7 of us, and we were all so happy and just living life. And then we stopped everything to watch the news conference about COVID. And I was like, okay, so this is happening. This isn't going to be a 2-week thing. And it was wild, and I think it just kind of changed how we all looked at stuff. And then I also realized very quickly that we all had families to protect, and there was not a bit of shame from anybody in our circle for hunkering down and just ignoring people. And like in Kayla's case, Kayla offered to go to Costco in the beginning, because if you follow Kayla, you know her family doesn't live here. So she was like, I don't mind going into the store to help out if anyone needs anything. And then Liz was very helpful as well, and everyone just, and we're still doing it. Like every time Liz goes to Costco, she's like, going to Costco, girl, let me know if you need anything. And it's something that simple, and we all just kind of just take care of each other. Or when I do an online grocery order, I tell Shauna in case she wants me to add anything, in case she can't get a slot. And a lot of other people I've seen, like extended friend groups, they're not doing that, and they don't have the support, which I think is really sad. And I think COVID has taught me that my very small group of friends, no matter what way we slice it, will be there for each other. Like the amount of social distance coffees Nicole, Cash, and I have had, and sometimes with Brooke, is insane. And we still did a Christmas party on a parking lot, masked up, but we didn't even have to tell each other that we wanted everyone to wear masks, you know? Like it was just little things like that. And the fact that like this world needs to be taught common sense and compassion is even more depressing to me, because I just don't understand how the human race can ignore the fact that COVID is here and it's real, and I think it's gonna be with us for a long time. I do think things like lockdowns for disease control do work. It doesn't feel like that in most places, but where I live in Newfoundland, it has. It's been phenomenal. I mean, we've been dealing with COVID for over a year, and we've only had just over 1,000 cases and only 6 deaths, which in my opinion, 6 was too many. But it is what it is, you know? So I mean, Nicole and I have talked about this a million times. When we go to the mall now, we're probably going to continue to wear masks, because guess what? The only like weird cold things that I've had since COVID hit has been when the temperature goes from -6 to 8 degrees in 12 hours in Newfoundland, and it's sinus related. I haven't actually been sick. So clearly masking and washing your hands and using all this hand sanitizer and keeping your distance in public places really works. So I think and I hope people will continue even when the vaccine rollout has happened, you know? That's one of the things I'd like to see come and be learned from COVID, that, you know, if we all be a little safer, and if we all don't stand on top of each other in Costco and herd like cattle to a sale in a retail space, we can do so much to prevent things like diseases spreading around the world. And I hope everyone kind of learned how to take care of each other better from COVID, and just have kindness, and they've learned to check on their friends, and you don't need to go out to have a chat with your friends. Like Shauna and I make a habit of calling each other at least once every 2 weeks for a couple of hours to catch up, and Nicole is the same way. And we just try to check in on each other, and we text each other very frequently, and we Instagram with each other. We just do our best to check in. And I know it's hard, and I know people don't like being isolated, and people need social interaction, but there's a safe way to do it. And I think going forward, I think we all need to be a bit more cognizant, but I don't think the world is ever going to go back to being perfectly normal ever again. I think this is our new normal, and living with something scary like an infectious disease is the way it's going to be, you know? I think it'll get easier and I think people will adapt accordingly. I think the human race has proven that we can adapt. I think a lot of lessons have been learned from COVID taking over the world. I don't know, anybody who last March thought this was going to be a 2-week vacation was kidding themselves. I mean, I don't think in my lifetime I'll see another one. Just like I don't think in my lifetime I'll see another Snowmageddon. But there were lessons to be learned here, and I hope people in countries learn them. I mean, I still see what's going on in like Germany and stuff. I mean, that's one benefit to having international kids. I see what's going on in their countries, and it makes me so grateful to be here in Canada. And I know right now people are feeling it. I mean, people feel these things. Like when we went back into our second lockdown last month, we moved to level 4 now, so some things are opening up when I'm filming this. It's been a week at level 4. I was sad when we moved to level 4 because I loved level 5 life. I was working from home. The only people I saw were mom and dad, because single bubble household, so me being alone was allowed to go visit my parents if I wanted to, which we limited because, you know, I'm trying to protect mom and dad from any sort of disease. So it was just like, I was sad when we moved to level 4 because I was happy in lockdown life. But I know it's not sustainable for some people, and I understand people are struggling with their mental health and stuff, but I don't know. It's kind of like, I have anxiety, I struggle. It is what it is. I made a conscious decision though a long time ago to, if something wasn't right or if something didn't feel right, to somehow find a way to pick myself back up and not get over it, but learn how to change my lifestyle to adapt to it, because there's no one here to help me. You know, there's no one here to do anything for me. It is just me. I am a one-woman show. So I learned a long time ago that there's not going to be someone that's saying, oh, you're down, let me pick you back up, or let me take this off your plate to do it for you. So I've been able to just kind of not train myself, but I've allowed myself to be open to finding new ways to deal with mental health and the stresses that come with it, you know? And I guess, I don't know. I'm just hoping people learn from this pandemic that there are people out there to help you. You just have to find them, and you have to reach out to your friends, and you have to be able to admit that you're not okay in order to get help. If you oh my goodness, if you stay silent and don't ask for help or don't admit that you're struggling, it's no one's fault that they didn't come to help you, because how do you know? People aren't mind readers, you know? So I hope people have learned to talk a bit more about it and be brave to not, you don't have to share your story online, but like be brave and be vulnerable with your friends and just check in, because you don't know what other people are going through. And I hope that's a lesson the older generation has come to learn about young people. You don't know what the young people are going through, and mental health wasn't a thing. Like, I look at my grandmother's generation, and she was obviously like never had to deal with people talking openly about anxiety and mental health issues and stuff. So like, she doesn't know. I assume she wouldn't know how to react. My grandmother is the type of person though who would react with kindness and love. She's been, you know, very open and like adaptable to situations, kind of like with COVID as well. She was like, okay, we all have to do this now. And like, that was that, you know? My grandmother was not of the generation saying young people were the reason we have coronavirus, but that generation really spoke pretty poorly on young people for a while. But at the same time, it was the said young people who were, I look around this province and like my generation was going around helping their senior relatives and doing anything and everything they could without breaking COVID rules and regulations. And I don't know, I just hope other generations have learned to be kind to the younger generations, because the younger generations is what is shaping this world today. And I know the world is different from when our grandparents were young, but I think there has to be a level of respect there. And I think there's a lot of things that this world is lacking. But I do think, to answer the question, I suppose, Chrissy, this was a long way of saying it, I'm sorry. I do think in some ways there should be lessons from COVID that live with us forever. Personally, I'm never gonna go back to being out and about unnecessarily in the malls and stores and stuff. Like, I mean, I was never a big mall crawler or anything, but this bumming around the mall for something to do on a Sunday is never gonna be a thing for me ever again. I will only go to the mall now when I need something. And that's the other thing I've learned to, like, I haven't learned to live without. I'm not lacking anything. I'm not hurting. Like, I'm not missing anything. So, did we live a life that was too busy before? I don't know, maybe we did. This past year was very welcomed in some ways for me, in other ways it wasn't. I mean, it was also the hardest year of my life. I lost Lola. I mean, it doesn't get any crappier than that for me. And the amount of people that have died, not COVID related, in my extended circle is friggin' insane. It was like 2020 was the year of like taking people out. So I think you just kind of learn to, I don't know, just adapt and be there for people. And I think that's the lesson I hope that sticks with us once the whole world is back to the new normal with COVID. I also think traveling, you should have to wear a mask on a plane no matter what, because I mean, think about that. You're in a solid air chamber with regurgitated air. Like, of course you should wear a mask. Like, you don't know what anybody's got. And I think that mentality is going to change, and maybe that is a good thing because it'll keep people healthier and it'll take care of people, and maybe that is the goal. I think the world and the universe was trying to tell us something with coronavirus, that this world is a dark, scary place, and there's still a lot of really bad hate and darkness and like racism of all kinds and sexism still happening in the world, but we all need to step up and be a changing force to make the world a better place. And I think we've seen that in some ways, in some cultures and in other parts of the world. I'm just grabbing my hair oil. And I think we can, and we will. I think there's a lot of work to be done, but I think people have learned in some regard that like my generation and our generation, the viewers' generation, and the generation coming up behind us do have voices, and they want change, and it's happening, and we just have to learn to lead with kindness. And I think COVID was the first test. Will planet Earth be kind again? And I think the answer is yes. I'm lucky to live in a place where this province in Newfoundland has always been a relatively kind, compassionate place. There's not a lot of anti-maskers. There's not a lot of bad stuff happening. Like, yes, there's still bad stuff, and I'm sure there's racism and sexism and everything else happening in little pockets of the province, but we're not seeing people get murdered walking home because they're women, or we're not, you know, like, we're not seeing that happen. Thank goodness. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to be a Newfoundlander if we did, you know? So I'm lucky to have grown up in a place that when someone says good morning, they just mean good morning. There's no ulterior motive. They're not trying to stab you. Like, very lucky, which is probably another reason why I don't like to travel, because I love waking up in a place where waving to your neighbor is simply waving to your neighbor, and there's no ulterior motive. You're not worried about anything. Most men don't make women feel uncomfortable. Like, none of that's the thing here. I've never really felt unsafe in this province. I mean, I've lived by myself now for 6 years, and I've never felt real fear. Like, and I'm so blessed and so lucky to have that. So I guess, yes, I hope coronavirus, the lessons from it, I hope stay with us forever, and the kindness that was expressed during this pandemic, while this pandemic is still going on, I hope they stay with us for a long time, because there were a lot of people in this world that needed to relearn kindness, love, and compassion, and I hope they at least received it or learned it throughout this. So yeah, that's my long-winded thing about that. So thank you for asking that question, Christy. If you guys want to come back next week, I will do my makeup, and I'm going to talk to you more about the other things Christy mentioned in her tweet, which are also some pretty cool topics, so thank you for suggesting them all. That's it for the hair, guys. I used the Tresemme oil in my hair on the ends there, and I just used a anti-frizz spray from Sephora called Caviar Anti-Aging Smoothing Anti-Frizz Dry Oil Mist. Got it as a 500-point brick, and it's decent. So pop that in my hair. I'm gonna go do my makeup, so I will see you guys next week. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below. Tell me one good thing that came into your life from this pandemic, because I'm sure everybody has something that you've learned, a positive lesson, a positive experience. We need to spread more love, kindness, and positivity in the world, so let's do it in the comments down below. Hit subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to my vlog channel, and I will see you guys next week. Bye!